out back in 72, and I don't know, I was doing quite a bit of drugs at the time, and kind of ran out of money, and the bills are, you know, coming up, the rent and that. And I went out with a couple buddies of mine, because they knew there was a safe. So like we went out, the three of us, and I don't know, one was wrecked from drinking and one was wrecked from pills, and I was just wrecked. And well, we went out and we busted into a safe, and we burglarized another place, and well, we got busted for it right away. And well, I got 2 3-year sentences for it. Once for burglary and once for the safe cracking.
Mike Thomas served his prison sentence at the Wisconsin State Reformatory in Green Bay, a maximum security prison. Like most inmates, much of his time was spent contemplating his freedom and an unknown future. Thomas was fortunate to find employment upon release, but for most inmates just out of prison, unemployment and job discrimination are a hard reality. There are over 700 men now serving time at the Green Bay Reformatory. Of those that will be released, 1 out of 5 will return to prison within 1 year. Why are so many ex-offenders unable to cope with the realities outside of prison? And what role does the prison serve? Is it a means of insulating the inmate from society, or are we preparing the inmate for the complex problems he will face upon release?
Isn't that powerful? Isn't that powerful? Isn't that
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got a stack.
The dirty bastard.
Yo, you bastard, flip the fat track.
Here I go, whether friend, whether foe, let them know that I flow over the rainbow.
Hit the deck.
Oh, yeah, feel the tech, taking heads, taking X.
What the fuck they expect?
I don't know.
I don't care.
I won't fall.
I won't stare at a hole unless I know that I'm going to the mo.
Cause the tail.
Cause I'm mousy, my technique is drowsy. Some try to foul me,
I'm saying that we're lousy.
but I'm a tyrant, defiant, walking New York giant.
President of the
But
woo.
I'm also a client.
It's the woo what?
You do what? You do what? What? Who? What? I don't give a flying fuck about a chump, cause this heart only pumps Kool-Aid.
Snatch a kid by the braids and cut his head off. Rhymes is rugged like burnt buildings in Harlem. The old dirty bastard from the temple of Shaolin. Dirty to the grain like drops of acid rain. Clang, 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 rhymes plucking at your brain. So take a sip from the cup of death, and when you're shaking my right hand, I'll stab you with the left.
Red alert, red alert.
Big Sean coming straight from the dirt.
Once I go berserk, mad brothers got hurt. Nothing new in 92.
It's time to go to work.
Trails, watch or scream once I hop on the scene. They fear the return of the fatal flying guillotine. Mr. Millie, that means I'm more some militant. Don't wear no suit and tie, I'm no gentleman. Getting laid, taking heads, that's my hobby. Punching mother fields in the face who call me Robbie. I be the RZA, call me that cuzzer. Never like the name I received from my papa. Dirty Deluxe, you I'm hunting for ducks. Snatching devils up by the hair, they cut his head off.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
Here it is.
Where's it at?
In the back.
Got us.
There's no feelings here. You know, this is what I'm trying to express. There's no feelings here. You know, you're brought here, you're punished, you understand, in the courts to do time. This is your punishment for the crime that you committed, you know. However, it doesn't end there, you know. At first, when I was sentenced, I felt real bad about what I had done, you know. But after I got up here and after all the things that I've got done to me, after 2 or 3 years, you know, I got to feel real salty behind that, you know. And nobody's caring, you know.
Well, this is it. This is it. I think the institution should supply some type of program where you can say, better your own means, kind of be able to help yourself in a better way. If you get out, if you're going out on school release, or if you're going out on parole and you don't have anything but your gate fee in your pocket, man, you know, $50, you know, and then you walking up to people trying to find jobs and they're telling you, you know, you want to be honest and you say, well, I just got out the institution, you know. Hey, man, they're going to turn you around, you know, kind of hope you expect for this guy, you know. He's going to have to do something, you know. And as long as we need money in this world to survive in this society, then that's what they're going to have to do, you know. Otherwise, the man is, you know, he's doomed. In other words, he's doomed unless he pulls an armed robbery or a burglary or something where he can get some money. If you don't have a job, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
The present system of criminal justice is a mixture of past and present philosophies. Should the purpose of the prison sentence be to rehabilitate those who have been convicted of a crime, or is the sentence a way to isolate and punish, a deterrent to a rapidly growing crime rate?
Well, I think the sentencing judge's responsibility is to the community, and in exercising that responsibility, doing what he can to rehabilitate the defendant. We must recognize that we cannot keep the average defendant, if he's to be confined in prison for all of his life, and it's important to try to map out a program that will rehabilitate that person and get him out into the community as a useful citizen so he can support his family, pay his debts, and get off of the taxpayer's roll as soon as possible. On the other hand, the sentence must be commensurate with the offense and the length of rehabilitation that appears to be necessary.
So-called rehabilitation programs are not preparing me to do anything. Matter of fact, I don't even think they have a rehabilitation program. You know, the only way a person is going to get out of here and reintegrate himself in society successfully is that he makes some progress on his own while he's here. He has to take it up on his own.
Well, I don't see how the rehabilitative programs in the institution could be adequate if you got such a high recidivism rate, people coming back all the time. I've seen guys maybe 3 times since I've been here in the 4 years I've been in the institution, coming back and leaving again, and this is always the same problem. Guys going out even on school release and catching cases. One guy pulled an armed robbery while he was on school release.
Many inmates feel that the rehabilitation programs are inadequate and that many of their needs are ignored. But an increasing number of services are available. Services to assist with work placement, housing upon release, family, legal, and personal problems. However, overcrowding and understaffed conditions result in a conflict between the inmates' legitimate needs and unrealistic demands.
These people are impatient as a group, impulsive, and in many ways immature. They expect to be heard immediately, if not sooner. And realistically, we cannot cater to them, to their every whim. Many times they do have realistic concerns, and we try to relate to these concerns as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we are overcrowded. We have too few staff members who are willing and able to listen carefully to, in a counseling situation, to what these individuals are saying. Because of overcrowded conditions, we can only do so much.
A person has to help himself, you know, in this situation just as well as out in society. You know, God bless the child who has his own type of thing. You understand? And if these people, you know, are to continue to fool the public, you know, with all this rehabilitation nonsense, which does not exist here at this institution, then it will continue. The recidivism rate will continue to go up, you know, because it's not even geared. You know, it's not even geared, you know, to try to help an individual, you know, restructure his life, you know, and set that person back out in society, you know, with some type of trade, some type of skill to, for instance, let's take the barber program. Even though they complete the course here, you know, they're not eligible to work in a barber setting, you know, because they can't get the necessary license because of them being an ex-offender.
Well, I would think that the role of the prison, of course, is to incarcerate and hopefully during that process to rehabilitate. There are those, of course, who would indicate that there is little or no rehabilitation in a prison system, but I think that that's an exaggeration. The rehabilitative efforts may not be as great as we would hope, or as great as prison officials would hope, but nevertheless, I think that they are there, and sometimes the mere fact of incarceration and removal from the circumstances that originally caused the problem tend themselves to rehabilitate the person.
I'm not sure really what processes are involved in rehabilitation. To me, rehabilitation is an internal process. I think that perhaps it could be better phrased as responding to motivation towards a social adjustment. Are they adequate? There are an awful lot of programs that are existing now that were not existing 10 or 20 years ago. Whether they are adequate or not, I really couldn't say. But there certainly are an adequate number of programs for the residents to get involved with if they have the motivating factor involved in them. I feel very, very much that rehabilitation is a personal process and that it generally comes. In my own particular case, I was in prison almost 18 years at various prisons for various lengths of time. I'm not sure that I really, quote, rehabilitated or was rehabilitated. I think that I came to a realization that, you know, for me the answer lay in another direction than behind four prison walls. I think, as Jim Hudson said, that the answer lies within everybody.
Are the rehabilitation programs here at the reformatory adequate to your mind?
Well, I think they're adequate. That's probably the word to use. I would like to see an improvement in them. But I think that in terms of training for skills and academic kinds of training, I think we're doing a critical job.
How would you improve them?
I think that what we need is the capability of placing these individuals, developing job resources. This is a very real deficiency in most of the institutions in this state and in this type of institution around the country.
How would you go about this now? Because you're dealing with another segment of the public that you've got to interest in your program. You can't just obviously go out and do this on your own.
No, I think that what we've got to do is to use a hackneyed term, educate the public. I think that we have to also educate private industry that these are capable people, that we can train them and train them well, that many of them have strengths and abilities that can be used by private industry.
Now, you have, as every prison does, problems with the return rate. Is this because of the lack of adequate jobs to place people in, or are there other reasons for this?
I think the lack of jobs is one of the big factors, but there are a lot of other reasons. Obviously, many of these individuals, although trained and capable of performing the job, have emotional problems, personality problems that cause them to fail on the job market. It's like any other group of people, I suppose. As you get down to the individuals, you see strengths and you see weaknesses.
About rehabilitation programs to reintegrate the inmates back into their families. I would imagine that that's
a difficult thing to do.
It's a very difficult thing because, as you know from being in here, men live by the numbers. It's a rather structured kind of living. I think that what we need in this state and in many states around the country is a workable furlough bill where people can go home at different phases of their incarcerated period and reacquaint themselves with their family, their neighborhood, their area, and then come back in and go back out again and not lose the contact with the family. I think that's a very important aspect of this work. Total isolation for many years is very deteriorating, has a deteriorating effect on an individual's morale.
Does the parole system as we know it today work well?
It works much better than most people think. In this state, we did a study, I believe it was 2 years ago, those men who were being released, and 79% of the men who were followed a year later were still being successful under supervision and parole, which means that we're averaging about a 19% failure rate, which really isn't all that bad. It's not good. We would hope it would be better. It's not as bad as some people say that it is.
Gordon, how much of a factor is disillusionment in the recurrence rate? People get out of here, they get back home, they become disillusioned because they can't get a job, they become disillusioned because they can't fit back into their family or they're having difficulty. Is that a big factor?
I think it's a factor, and probably I would say it is a big factor. I think that these institutions provide a certain degree of security by meeting practically all of the needs of the men while they're in here. And then they develop some apprehension about what it's going to be like when they get out there. And sometimes some of their worst fears are realized. They apply for jobs, and when someone finds out they've done time, they don't get the job. Or girlfriends or wives have gone in a different direction. That's disillusioning and frustrating, a very difficult thing to handle. So these are some of the things that I feel can and do contribute to somebody failing and relieve a case like this.
We have feelings that the recidivism rate is being lessened through self-help, though only to a small degree. We have less than 100 clients. So we're not going to have a big impact on any system containing thousands of people. But our clients, hopefully, will make it a little easier. It may be just as tough, but at least they're aware of what they're getting into and they're prepared for it. Many times a man is not prepared, he is not planned beyond the point of having the parole board say, yes, we're going to grant you a parole and you'll be free in 2 weeks. And at that point, maybe he begins planning for what he's going to do after he gets through the door. In self-help, we like to prepare him for that contingency and hope that he realizes that there's more to a parole than walking out through the door. Everything is not going to be rosy then, and it becomes a matter of a lot of very hard work sometimes. Self-help was founded by a group of 3 ex-offenders about 10 years ago. It was founded with the idea that it would make a parole experience more meaningful and more a learning experience than merely reporting to an agent. At the time of inception, it became a prison ministry program with a highly religious and moral regeneration theme. We still have the moral regeneration theme involved in our programs, but the religious emphasis of the program has been downplayed in the interests of helping the men on a pragmatic level during their incarceration, to try to inspire or to emphasize that commitment that they had to getting out and staying out. I generally tell them that society as a homogeneous group owes them nothing, that they have to work for what they're going to get and to expect hard times. Jobs are very difficult to come by. They're expected to perform as if they were any other employee, and that if they don't perform, that the employer will generally lay them off and hire somebody else to do the job. It's a matter of being realistic as well about the salary level. It's a nice thought to have a job that pays you $10, $11 an hour, but more realistically, most jobs, even the trades, the vocational jobs where you need a lot of experience still pay in the areas of $4 to $5 an hour, and the entry-level positions, which are basically the ones that we try to find for the men, generally pay minimum wage, and that the best that they can hope for is to get some kind of a job. And whether it be pumping gas in a gas station, sweeping floors, washing dishes, whatever it is, it's a good job to have while you're looking for another job. And if you can get some kind of skills while you're in prison, you have a much better chance of getting a better job.
For the most part, the inmates, when you talk about jobs, they don't looking forward to a job because they know that, like a lot of the employers don't want them because they've got criminal records, they've been in jail. They're afraid that the people are either going to come there and rip them off, or they might work a week or two and leave. So they figured the employers don't want them to begin with. And they figure that the people that do give them a job probably be one of the lowest ones on a totem pole, some job that's the worst one in the plant that they couldn't get anybody else to take. Well, and a lot of people, they go down to apply for a job after they've gotten out of prison. You get to the part that says, have you been arrested? And what did you do? Well, a lot of the inmates, they won't bother filling in that because they want that job, they need the job to pay their bills. They don't feel like going back to jail. I mean, who wants to go to jail? And so he's sitting there worrying that you're going to find out that he was in jail. He's worrying about how long he's going to have that job that he's got. There's no way the man wants to go back to jail. And to be fair about it, I mean, all you can do is give this man a shot. Give him a chance at that job.
Let's say if I'm qualified to do a job, you know, and I can demonstrate, you know, I demonstrate that ability to do the job well, you know, which is what the employer wants. You see what I'm saying? I don't feel that my past, you know, mistakes or mistake, whatever, you know, should be a determinant factor in my not getting the job. This is all I'm saying. Give me a fast shot at it. You see, this is all I want. I want a fast shot.
Generally, the ex-offenders are better employees. Now, that's number one. Number two is the fact that it costs the taxpayers of this state approximately $15,000 a year to keep a man in prison. Now, it's only good business sense. Aside from the humanitarian point of view, it's only good business sense that if we feel a man is ready for release, that we should at least feel that we have a strong enough investment in him after 2, 3, 4 years in prison to try to keep him out of prison and make him into a taxpayer and save that $15,000 a year. Rechannel those resources into other areas where they could be better put to use other than building bigger and better prisons.
And I try to convey to the resident before he leaves that all is not peaches and cream out there, that what he's going to have to do is demonstrate to himself and to others that his intentions are honorable and that he has every desire to adapt without serious conflict, without posing a problem to himself and others. And certainly in the area of employment, the individual should not go out with a conviction that the world owes him a living. And what he's going to have to do is try to use whatever skills he has to the best of his ability. And with or without help, he will be held accountable for what he does. We anticipate that he will behave responsibly, that if he needs help, he will seek help in the proper way from the probation parole agent who will have supervision responsibility or from others in the community who may be in a position to help. It's his responsibility to seek help. If he doesn't, the individual responsible for supervision, the probation parole agent, will confront him and will help him understand that there are certain obligations and responsibilities he has with respect to employment, just plain dealing with people, that he will have to meet Otherwise, he will pay a price.
Generally, the residents that leave this institution are afraid. You know, they want to go home, but they're afraid because they know they can't handle the trivial and the dangers of society. You know, the society is not structured to help them in any way or to realize that they paid their time or did their crime for the crime they did. I would say that in this case, a resident or inmate leaving this institution have to be self-confident. You have to have a lot of self-awareness and know about his mobilities and his capabilities and exercise them to the fullest extent. Otherwise, he's surely going to get stepped on.
What I'm trying to do now is give me a sense of direction. I need a sense of direction, foundation, something solid, something concrete I can stand on. You know, I can't stand on I've already, most inmates when they come to the penitentiary, they've already demonstrated the inability to accept responsibility in things, you see. And that I have to say was my, problem, quote, unquote. And now I think I've gotten myself together whereas I can become an asset rather than a liability, to the community I am, released to. However, studying, going to school every day, this, that, and other, that's not gonna feed me. It's not gonna clothe me, studying in itself, you see. So I'm gonna have to find some way that I can market, this knowledge that I have obtained while I'm, been incarcerated. And I'm quite sure it's gonna be difficult, but this prison, has inherent qualities that makes a person able to withstand a lot of pressure. You see what I'm saying? So I'll be able to, whatever they come with out there, it won't be, it's tenfold in here. You see, so I'll be able to deal with it, and hopefully I'll be successful.
I've written this article, and it was a rainy day, and I just wanted to put my thoughts on paper, so I want to read it. It's called Free Expression. Here I sit, bored to hell as usual. I'm trying my damnedest to understand this helpful situation I'm in and figure out how I'm supposed to benefit from it. However, no solid basis can be drawn. Life's meaning has temporarily terminated. All I'm allowed to do is exist. So I continue to strive day after day. The only reason I can explain and convey to another person for my continual strive is that I know for a fact someday in the future I can put this present existence behind me and have what's left of my life back. When that finally arrives, I'll feel happiness within, but what type of person will I be? A person of warmth, kindness, and love? No, I don't think so. You see, with each passing day, the feeling of that nature dies a little bit more. Each day I become more and more colder within. The hatred continues to grow. It's starting to show on the outward personality. I've tried and tried to fight the hatred and bitterness, but it's a fight I continue to lose. The years have taken their toll. The loneliness, hatred, bitterness that surrounds a confined man constantly has gotten inside of me and is slowly but surely turning my heart from a bright, glowing, lively flame to a flicker. How much longer before that flicker is extinguished completely? When I was placed in prison, there were many, many people that I loved, respected, and appreciated. But now I can count them on one hand and have some fingers left uncounted. There was a time when it could be said that I was improving and making good use of my time. Now it's abuse I receive from the people that are supposedly here to help me and know what's best for me. Well, they are wrong and give me more of a runaround than actually help me, and they call it rehabilitation. To these people I say, before you can help a confined man or woman, you have to know what is really best for that person as an individual. Until then, you remain more of a failure than the criminal. Instead of always telling a person what's best for them, why don't you try asking? Communication can help. sick.
I want to know if y'all want to talk to the residents. I didn't understand you. Talk to a few. Yeah, did you already? If you hand-picked residents or just at random? Self-help program. Why don't you talk to some of the residents at random? When is this going to be on TV?